take. But I just wanted to show people, this is in the game folder again, 3 underbar game. The 3 files that you want to look at right away are main, game, and common. Main has the very same setup we've always had, or we've had frequently now, which is I set up some stuff about the display, I turn off the display bar, I set up the multi-touch, turn on multi-touch, I should be clearing the, setting the VBuff so that the output comes out right away. I set a seed for my random generator. It's always important to do that, otherwise you're going to get the same sequence over and over for your games. This little bit here is for SSK, which I'm still using. I know I said I'm not going to, but I'm using it temporarily. But the final version of our game, I'll be doing this, and it will still work. This is just, I leave it in here as a crutch for me, because SSK has a few tools that I like to use as I'm developing, like dumping out tables and doing extended prints of tables and stuff like that. So I need that for my development, but I'm not going to be doing anything that requires SSK other than that. Common, which is the file I told you that's interesting today and will be interesting in the future. I also included scripts windowing, so that's from our previous project, which is basically, it's a file that handles all the Control-Enter to go full screen, Control-Enter to go back to windowed mode. I will go over the whole thing later. Just know that it exists at this point. The only other thing we do in main is we start physics, we load it, we start it, we set gravity to 0, and if I wished, I could put on hybrid mode, and I would get the, you know, the pretty extra little details that tell me that I'm using a circular body for my character, and that's about the only thing with physics at this point. So we'll go ahead and turn it off. I initialized a sound library, which I'm not using yet, but I just leave it in there. It's working already. I took it from the last game, so no need to change that. Then I load the game module, the other interesting file for today. That is, so I loaded sound, I init sound, and then I call create, and I'm passing it a 1. At this point, create doesn't care about anything, so we'll take that out. The create is in game Lua. Now, there's a little thing here at the top, which I will tell you what it is, but I won't go into why we're using it quite yet. It's I'm using this little bit up here for what I call input or event coalescing. I've talked about this on the show before. The mouse input is a noisy input. So when I say noisy, what I mean is the more you move the mouse, the more events you get. And you can literally get dozens of events per frame. So if you're doing something on each of these events, you could be wasting CPU power doing nothing useful, because it's not going to get rendered until the next frame. So I coalesce noisy events, and I will go into how that works later, but at the top of the file, basically what I am doing is counting. I have my own personal frame counter. It's not related to the frame rate, it's just frame 0, frame 1, frame, just goes on forever. It counts up until 4 billion and then wraps around. So hopefully nobody plays this game for 4 billion frames and then proves that it doesn't wrap, but it gets negative or something, I don't know. But the point is this gives me a number to refer to further on in the code for doing some kind of calculation related to coalescing, which is a topic we'll talk about later. At the top here, as before, I require all of the different scripts and modules that I'll be using. And there are quite a number in this game already. We have physics, which we use. This is, Corona. The sound module, which we're not using, but we will be. Common. And then we have Sprite Maker, the Zombie Makers, the Archer Maker, the Arrow Maker, the Lost Garden Pack, our camera module, and Math2D, which is coming out of the plugin set. So I will be using my Math2D library and my collision calculator, because those are now available as plugins, so that's within the realm of reason. There's documentation, it's available, people should be able to use it. I should be able to use it. There will be many modules in this game, because I'm making builder modules, which is these makers, for every different trap and enemy et cetera, et cetera. So there's going to be a number of them. But the beauty of desktop is, maybe you didn't see that number earlier. When I was running the exploration, we're already up to 60 megs of texture memory. We have lots and lots of memory, so we're good to go. So having lots of modules, no big deal. The next bit, same as previous games. I like to declare my variables and do a little bit of forward declaration of functions. Currently, there are none. This is where I declare a function name before I define the body so that I can use it throughout the file. That would be here. Localizations, something I like to do and I encourage people to do, which is where you take a function that you're going to use a lot and you either make a shorthand local, like the mrand is my shorthand for math random, or because I use pairs a lot, I localize it. Now you wouldn't think this would be a big deal, but and for desktop maybe not so much, but for mobile, simply doing this at the top of your file, if you use pairs a lot, can actually save you a significant amount of execution, because it doesn't have to do the remote lookup for this every time. It does it once and it's there, and so it doesn't have to continually look up this function out of the global set. So it's this little tiny optimization, but if you do it 10 million times, you saved yourself some time. So, or if you call it 10 million times. So, let's see what else. The vector library, which I told you we were going to use. I like to make shorthand names for each of these. So math2d add is add vector, subtract vector, vector to angle, etc. And then we get into the code. The first bit of code is the destroy method. Now in previous games I used to put this down at the bottom of the file, but it kind of makes more sense to me now to put it at the top, because almost always when I call create, I first call destroy, because the first time I do it, destroy will do nothing. But if I do a create and then I change the level and I want to create a new level, I got to go destroy the previous one. So if I'm calling destroy first, I might as well put it at the top of the file. And also, I found coding-wise that destroy is usually pretty short. It's got very few things in it, like I destroyed the group that contains all the display layers here. Then I set that variable to nil. I started a new list of arrows, some stuff like that. And that's about it. It's going to be just maybe, when we get done with this, I'm going to estimate this will be about 20 to 30 lines long. The thing is, I always do this when I'm making games. I do some work, I create some variable that I know I'm going to have to clean up later, and then I'm like, okay, I'll remember to do that later. Instead, I should just go right away and type it into destroy and go, okay, I made some Beelzebub, or let's call it Bob because I can't remember how to spell Beelzebub. I made a variable named Bob that I know I'm going to need to nil out when I destroy. So let's just do it now. The reason I'm lazy about this is usually because I put destroy someplace weird, and I'm like, oh, I got to go search for it. But if I know it's at the top of the file, it's very easy to find. So my lesson here is, if you've got a function that you're going to edit all the time, put it someplace where you can find it.
You're encouraging good behavior.
I am encouraging good behavior because there have been times when I had to go back and re-edit these examples long after we released them, because I found my laziness had caused a problem. And so I don't want people to go through that. It's just, you don't want to have released your game and then remember, I forgot, did I remember to clear out those variables? No, I did not. And then you get a bug report and you're like, why is that happening? Oh, it's because I was lazy.